Yes. Yes. Let everybody know we're here. I can't believe it's almost Halloween. What the hell happened to October, man?
It feels like Halloween's already done.
I know.
I could have
Doesn't
swore
it?
it was going to be last week.
It's crazy.
It's like the month started slow and then just
Hmm.
kicked it in overdrive.
Yes. Yes, it did. I'm good to go if you are.
Yeah. Audio sounds good. There,
Uh,
you've got a full screen graphic up.
yeah, I'm gonna start putting those up at the beginning of the show so people know that we're about to
Oh,
begin.
oh, good. All right. Sounded good on my end,
All
so
right, good.
I'm all set.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Why is my soundboard not working? Greetings, everyone, and happy Halloween! It is time for the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
So we're almost to Halloween, and I don't know how that happened. How did October go by as quick as it did?
We were talking before the show started. I feel like the month started kind of slow because when we were getting all the Halloween decor out and everything, I'm like, Halloween's it's like 3-4 weeks away,
Yeah.
and then next thing you know, it's as we're recording this is in 2 days,
I don't
which
like
is pretty wild.
it. I don't like it. It means this year is almost over with. It's almost 2025. That's insane.
Yeah, it's funny because I was going through some photo albums at work just to kind of look back on the events that I've covered throughout the year. There's some that I feel like happened a month ago, but they were back in February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's like August was the longest month ever, and now here we are in October, and it feels like things are flying by. And when I was a kid, I thought in 2025 we would be like, it was going to be like the Star Wars universe by 2025. We were going to be traveling to other planets. We were going to discover light speed. We're going to have flying cars and hoverboards and everything cool. And it's not that way at all. And I'm just wondering, what happened? What happened to the human race?
We'll have to take a DeLorean and find out. I thought we would at least get a hoverboard or something.
I know, something cool. I mean, everybody, you could say the internet's cool. Yeah, it's cool for some things, but for the most part, I don't like the way the internet has gone. It's pretty much ruined everything.
Yeah, there's still pockets that I like, like looking at food pictures on Instagram or
Cat pictures.
reading, some funny Reddit threads.
Yeah.
Other than that, internet kind of sucks now.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't know. I mean, we could have the internet. Why can't we have rental stores and stuff like that again? Just cool things.
Oh, that would make too much sense.
Yeah, I guess so. But we work with what we have, and if we didn't have the internet, we wouldn't have this show. So, yeah.
That's true. There's a silver lining in everything.
Yeah. So, how was your week?
Not bad. I'm trying to remember what all happened. Mostly just getting ready for Halloween. So the reason why we're doing this show on a Tuesday and not a Monday is because my wife has been working these kind of like farmers markets where she makes like baked goods like brownies, cupcakes, cookies, things like that. There was a special Halloween one yesterday. that she had signed up for. So helped her out with that. And then we're also doing one on Halloween night, which will be a lot of fun. Oh, we did go to a costume party
Oh, cool.
on Saturday, so that was fun. I found this. It's almost like the Mickey Mouse magician hat from Fantasia,
Yeah.
but it's black with like a little bit of blue and gold mixed in. We went as a witch and a warlock, and I found the mask that Michael Myers wears in Halloween Ends that has like all the mildew and everything on
Yeah.
it. So I sent Jason and the rest of the guys in our group chat a picture of it, and I'm like, it smells like a sewer.
Yeah, and I got the original Michael Myers mask. They haven't had them for the last few years anywhere, like Spirit Halloween and stuff. But they had them this year, so I broke down and got one. And I'm just gonna use my jumpsuit that I use for my Ghostbusters costume, and I just took all the patches off of it. So now it's gonna be a Michael Myers jumpsuit.
If I ever see you in it, I'll just start going dun 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 dun.
Yeah, I'm hoping to scare some children on Halloween. That would be nice.
As one hopes to do on
Yeah,
Halloween.
that's the whole point of Halloween, is scaring children.
Speaking of Halloween, I did watch a few of those movies over like a few day period.
Mm-hmm.
The first one still is by far the best. Like it still
yeah.
holds up. It's great. Tried to watch Halloween Ends again. It's not a good movie.
Why would you do that to yourself? Why?
I just wanted to confirm what I had suspected. Because the first time I watched it, I didn't hate it. Like there were some things that I didn't agree with, but I'm like, it's not as bad as people made it out to be. And then watched it again, I'm like, okay, it's as bad as people made it out to be.
Yeah, you know what I watched again the other day? I was working on some stuff here at my little office, and I popped in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003, the remake.
Oh wow, I haven't thought about that movie in a long
And I haven't
time.
seen it since the theater, but I had the DVD of it because I think I got it at the thrift store at some point. And I popped it in and watched it. I remember liking it in the theater, but I don't know, watching it this time wasn't great. Like it's just this, it just can't hold a candle to the original from the 70s.
No, that's usually how it goes. Like the that Nightmare on Elm Street remake with Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger.
Whew.
Like it wasn't very good.
We don't speak of that one. That was not good.
Which I love the Freddy Krueger character, but to me there are more bad Elm Street movies than there are good ones.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that that remake was terrible. It was awful.
I remember the Friday the 13th remake not being bad.
Yeah, that one's not bad, but I don't know. There's just something special about those old original movies that's hard to recapture.
Rampage
in the
has
chat
entered
room.
the chat.
But yeah, what else did I watch? Just trying to catch up on all the Halloween. Watch some Bob's Burgers Halloween specials. You know that they do a Halloween episode every year, so they have like a whole thing of them on Hulu this year for Huluween. And I
Nice.
watched a couple of those. I love those Bob's Burgers all their Halloween, Thanksgiving episodes and stuff. Those are my favorite ones.
Yeah. No, Bob's Burgers is pretty good. I haven't fully got into it, but I've seen enough episodes to form an opinion on it, and it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me, and now it's one of my favorite shows ever.
The guy who voices Bob, he did a funny bit on Family Guy because he's the voice of Carl in Family Guy, and he's like doing a stand-up bit on stage, and he's like, "Oh, I sound like Bob from Bob's Burgers." Oh, listen to me now. I sound like Sterling Archer from the show Archer.
Yeah.
'Cause it's the same guy.
And he was, do you remember Dr. Katz back in the 90s? A cartoon called Dr. Katz that was on Comedy Central. That's where I knew him from because he played Dr. Katz's son in that cartoon. And it's the same voice that he uses for everything. So I was like,
Yeah.
as soon as I saw Bob's Burgers, I was like,
Neat. Yeah, a lot of those voice actors, they have very distinctive voices. I can remember going to Dragon Con back in like the early 2010s, and the voice actor for Squidward from SpongeBob was there, and that's his real voice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you poor soul.
Rampage in the chat said, "Did y'all see the King of the Hill revival that's coming soon?" Yes, I did.
Yes. I'm actually looking forward to that. I enjoyed King of the Hill back in the day.
I did
Uh,
too.
Bobby's going to be an adult,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting. And I love that he uses charcoal. So I'm sure that Hank probably broke every piece of furniture in his house when he found that out.
That's going to be good. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I actually watched that. I watched the King of the Hill Halloween episode too that was on Hulu. So they've got all the Halloween episodes like under one thing. So if you want to go watch all the good Halloween episodes through the years, go check out Huluween tab on Hulu.
I love that these streaming platforms are getting into like Halloween and Christmas. Like they'll do separate tabs because Peacock does the same thing
Yeah.
where they have like all their Halloween stuff in one section.
Yeah.
And it's great.
I love Halloween. It just sucks that it's going to be over in like 2 days.
I know. It's gone by too quick.
Just like this intro. Now we got to go into the news, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
And as always, if you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And this first story comes from gamingbible.com. Zelda remake quietly teased for Nintendo Switch 2. Another Legend of Zelda game could be on the way, and so soon after Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. As one of Nintendo's biggest series, it's only natural that the company would have some sort of Zelda game in mind for the release of Switch 2. Let's see. According to leaker Midori, in a since-deleted post on X, Nintendo currently has a project under the codename of Edward, which is believed to be a game in development for the Switch 2. Why the post was deleted is unknown, but if it's true, fans will be quick to assume that it's related to a new Zelda game, as the games often use similar codenames like King or Richard. Now, if it is a remake, since it's unlikely we'll get a brand new Zelda adventure so soon after Echoes of Wisdom, there are a few things that it could be. Could be a return of Wind Waker or Twilight Princess. Could be a proper remake of Ocarina of Time, or perhaps even a remake of Zelda the Minish Cap due to the Nintendo Switch's portability. It could be a collection of Zelda games bundled together, similar to Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Now that would be something I'd be highly, highly interested in.
Oh, 100%. Out of all these things, and I do think it will be a remake, just because we just got Echoes of Wisdom, which I haven't played yet, but I've surprisingly heard nothing but really good things about it. Like when I saw the trailer, I was like, I don't know, but supposedly it's really good.
Yeah,
so
I want to try it.
eventually.
Man, throwing down, how much is it? It's like 50 or 60 bucks.
Something like that, yeah.
Man, like I want to. It's just why do games got to be so expensive?
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir on that one. Yeah, I think it's. I'd love to see a full remake of Ocarina of Time. I'm surprised Nintendo hasn't done it yet. What would be cool though is a remake of the Minish Cap, because like Link's Awakening, it wasn't as widely received just solely based on the fact that it was for the Game Boy.
Yeah,
and not the Super Nintendo or the GameCube or the Switch.
And I'll be honest, I played it not that terribly long ago. That was one of my favorite times. Yeah, I played it right before Breath of the Wild 2 came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that. I never played it before. It was one of my favorite Zelda things I've ever played. Like there was just something. It just kind of brought me back to the Link to the Past type of Zelda adventure.
I would love if they did that, just because it would expose it to a new audience. And the remake of Link's Awakening was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. And I could see an Ocarina of Time remake down the line. See, when did that game come out? I want to say it was 98. Let me look that up real quick.
But I think a bundle of Zelda games would be awesome too, where they took the original Legend of Zelda, maybe Link to the Past, Minish Cap, Four Swords, and take them all, give them a new coat of paint, and give them, because they're not, they're not that, you're not huge games like, Breath of the Wild 2 are. You could fit them on, a little cartridge. And those would be fun. I would pay full price for 4, remastered Zelda games like that.
Yeah, I would like to see that or the Minish Cap remake. But Ocarina of Time was released in November of 98. I think once we hit the 30-year anniversary of that game, that is when Nintendo needs to release like a redone with like Unreal Engine quality graphics. It would sell huge because it's.
I'm sorry.
Rampage, quit you trolling.
He says, I wish Zelda games were good. So I politely told him to please leave the chat.
It's a good thing for him. This is a family show.
And Chuck said that there is a new Filipino not zombie movie on Netflix called Other, and he says it's decent zombie parts, but it's more psychological drama. I might have to check that out. I like a good zombie movie.
Yeah, that actually sounds quite good. From IGN.com, Sonic X Shadow Generation sells 1 million units on launch day, which was on October 25th. Being a souped-up remake of 2011, Sonic Generations didn't slow down the blue blur on the sales front, with the figure covering worldwide sales on PS4, 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Alongside the remake portion comes Shadow Generations, a brand new chunk of gameplay similar to how Super Mario 3D World was enhanced by Bowser's Fury in the Nintendo Switch remake. So I did pick this up over the weekend, and I've played a pretty good amount of it. The Sonic portion, it is essentially just a remake of the 2011 game, which is still really fun because you get to play through like updated versions of classic Sonic games. But they put a lot of time and effort into that Shadow portion. It's just as big as Sonic Generation, so you're essentially getting 2 games for the price of 1.
I've heard good things about the game. I'm just wondering what you think about it.
The graphics are great. I could tell my hand-eye coordination is not what it was when I was younger. Because I died quite a few times.
Yeah.
And oh, a kitty.
It's our new little man.
Oh, hi.
New little kitten in the house. Come here, buddy.
Awesome. What's his name?
His name is Bieber.
Hey, Beebs.
It's the Beebs.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad y'all got a new cat.
Yeah. Yeah, Lizzie needed a friend because, she's lonely.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and Chuck said the name of that movie is called Outside, not Other, because his chat was laggy because his chat is lagged, but it's called Outside.
Okay.
Not
Have
Other.
to check that out.
So if you want to go check the movie out, everybody, it's called Outside.
But if you're a Sonic fan, definitely pick this game up because it's really good. The graphics are great. The remixed music is really cool. And so far, and I won't give spoilers, but the story for the Shadow Generations it's kind of heart-wrenching.
Really?
Yeah. You get to see a different side to him than just being angry and wanting to kill people and blow up the planet.
Are you going to review it when you're done? Because I want to hear what you have. I want to hear about this game.
Yeah, I could review it to coincide with the Sonic movie that comes out in December.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we'll do that. I mean, I know it's not a retro game.
Mm-hmm.
but who cares?
Wally will get over it.
I wasn't naming names.
Go check out the Ready to Believe You podcast, everybody.
Yeah, there you go, Wally.
Our last story is from NPR.org. Silent Hill 2 is a hit. That's good news for Konami as it returns to the classics. For years, fans have been waiting for Silent Hill video game with the trademark psychological scares and complex storytelling. And once made the franchise a hit, that time is finally here. The recently released remake sold more than 1 million copies in its first week, making it the fastest-selling entry in the series. And while it is a remake, in many ways it is an entirely new game with additional content, modern graphics, and revised gameplay. Let's see. The success of Silent Hill 2 and the announcement of several other projects begs the question: how serious is Konami about revitalizing its most beloved franchises? Let's see, because they've got Metal Gear, they've got Castlevania. What else Konami has the Ninja Turtles license if they still have it. They've got so many cool IPs that they could do stuff with that they're doing nothing with right now.
Maybe this is the kick in the pants that they needed.
I hope so. I really do.
This screen cap from Silent Hill 2, holy crap, this looks good.
I know. I want to get this game, but I don't have a PS5.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I personally think, and maybe this is just because we're in the Halloween spirit, we're due for a new Castlevania.
You think? We've been
100%.
due for a long time. So
yeah.
maybe I'm hoping maybe this will be, like you said, it'll be the kick in the pants for Konami to stop making Plinko machines and start going back and making video games again. Because you know what? You were one of the best at it, Konami. So please, reclaim your title as one of the best video game makers on the planet, up there with Capcom, and other people of that ilk, and start making games again. What are you doing?
When you have the perfect opportunity to remake these classics and introduce them to a whole new generation that may even go back and play, say, the original Castlevania or Metal Gear or Contra.
Yeah, Contra. Really? I mean, Contra is still, to this day, a beloved franchise, and they're doing nothing. They could imagine just a first-person shooter and, a modern first-person shooter in the Contra universe. How awesome that would be.
Joey says Castlevania Days Gone.
Simon Belmont on a Harley taking down hordes of Draculas. Dude, I would pay $100 for that DLC right now. Oh, I know a new Contra just came out, Joey, but that's still kind of an old school Contra. I'm talking about like a brand new, they need to like do a fresh, modern version of Contra that I would play. Or even like a third person type of like Dead Space, something in that vein for Contra.
Just remake all of them.
Just do it.
Do it, Konami. Not as well.
Just do it. Like Nike says, just do it.
Yeah.
But that's going to bring us to the end of the news, and now it's time for This Month in Video Game History. October 15th of 1985, Atari Games releases Gauntlet, based on the lesser-known Atari 8-bit game Dandy. Gauntlet is highly profitable, letting players insert additional quarters for more health. I can still hear it now, like, Elf needs food badly.
It says here, based on the lesser-known Atari 8-bit game Dandy. I wonder if it was a dandy of a game.
I'm sure it was. I've never heard of Dandy.
I haven't either.
But I did play a lot of Gauntlet in the arcade. I had it for the Nintendo, the Tengen version, or Tengen, however you pronounce it. It was not good.
It looks like one of those old PC games. from that time, like that you'd play at school if you had like,
Yeah.
if you were awarded free time, you're like, oh, you could play a cool game on the computer, or one of those
Yeah.
educational games that I played on the computer.
But it's definitely the grandfather of the dungeon crawler
Oh
type
yeah,
of games.
yeah, 100%. October 18th, 1985, Duck Hunt is released for the NES in North America. I love dogs, but man, did I want to punch that dog right in the mouth.
Stupid dog.
I still hear that laugh to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I see the name Duck Hunt, it plays right here and I hate it.
How did none of us know that the second controller controlled the ducks? How did we not know that?
I didn't know either until, well, like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago. I was like, what?
Like, I mean, granted, I rarely, if ever, played multiplayer games as a kid, but still, that would have been nice to know.
Yeah, at least put that in the manual or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that, Joey. Wow.
I thought of that when I read it, but I was able to refrain from just going.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, October 14th of 1991, Nintendo releases Mario the Jugular. The Juggler. Where did that come from?
Mario's going to get him right in the jugular.
Sounds like a serial killer from like the 70s. Mario the Jugular. Like he slices your jugular open.
Hey, when Mario becomes public domain, that horror movie might happen. If it doesn't, then we should make it.
We need to make a T-shirt now. Mario the Jugular. Oh boy,
that's awesome.
It was the final Game & Watch title. I've never heard of this before.
I haven't either. I never really played any of those Game & Watch games. Like, I know there was the collections that you could get for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
But I don't think they ever released, like, I know there was a Zelda Game & Watch game, and they had games like this, but they were more of like, like those basic arcade style games that you would get, like, Centipede, or
yeah.
There was one where you had to like maneuver around an octopus to get treasure. I can't remember what it was called, but those are the only Game & Watch games that I remember.
I'm gonna be laughing about that all night now.
The Jugular.
The Jugular.
October 29th of 1998, Black Isle Studios and Interplay Productions release Fallout 2 for Windows.
Wow.
I forget that the Fallout games are that old.
I do too. That's insane how far back that goes.
I thought Fallout was originally released in like 2001 or 2002.
Yeah, if you'd have asked me when the original Fallout was, I would have said probably 2001, 2002.
Yeah. But no, the sequel came out in 1998. That is incredible.
Let's see. October 8th of 2004, EA Sports, it's in the game, launches the multi-format FIFA Football 2005. It is the last major title to be released for the original PlayStation console.
Which is kind of crazy to think because the PS2 was already... I mean, the NES, I guess, did the same thing. But still, you don't think that the PlayStation 1 lasted that long. We all know about the legacy of the PlayStation 2 and its longevity, but
yeah,
the original PlayStation wasn't too shabby.
And Chuck in the chat room says he still has his box copies of Fallout 1 and 2. I wish I still had my box copies of like the Seventh Guest, the Dark Half. I had a bunch of box games. I loved that. God, I might actually start looking for these at the flea market. But those old big box are computer games from back in the 90s. I loved those big box games.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing them in stores all the time, and it was just kind of crazy because, even back then the boxes for console games, they weren't that big.
Yeah.
And then you'd go down the computer game aisle and they'd be like
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, you buy
Like
two
the
or
size
three
of an
games.
encyclopedia.
You buy 2 or 3 games, you feel like you're you're leaving the store with like, an armload of stuff, and it's just like 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Like,
had
how many games did you get? 2.
yeah, I had like Star Wars Rebel Assault. I had a couple of Star Wars games, the TIE Fighter, Dark Forces. Man, I had so many cool games. That would be, it's just stuff to take up space, but I want it.
It'd be cool to display like behind your setup here for the show.
Yeah, it would.
That'd be awesome. I apologize for this one because this made me feel old, and I know it's going to make everybody else feel old too. October 26th of 2004, just shy of 20 years ago, Rockstar Games releases Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for the PlayStation 2, the 5th main game in the Grand Theft Auto series. I was a freshman in college when this was released.
Man, I've been playing this pretty recently I got this for the PlayStation 2 not long ago, so now that it's officially retro, I'll go ahead and review it here soon.
You do that and I'll review Vice City.
Man, 20 years ago, and it was the 5th game in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Now it takes like 10 years, 10, 12 years between Grand Theft Auto games. They used to poop these things out like every year.
I wonder if we'll eventually get a Grand Theft Auto movie or a show.
I don't know. I'm
It would have to be R-rated.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Like there's no way it couldn't be.
I mean,
go ahead.
The next game is coming out next year, I think. And they teased it like a year ago, so that thing's been in development for like 12 years now.
The original Grand Theft Auto came out November 28th of 1997.
Jeez. Yeah, because I remember that was a PlayStation game.
Yep. It was out for the original PlayStation, Windows, and Game Boy Color.
Wow.
I bet the Game Boy Color version is terrible.
Probably. I remember that game being terrible. I didn't like it because it was a top-down kind of game, and I mean, we may as well review it for the show here, but I guarantee you it probably doesn't hold up because I didn't like it then.
No. Yeah, we haven't reviewed a single Grand Theft Auto game, I don't think.
No, we have not.
We'll have to change that.
Yep. But that's the end of this month in video game history. And before we go into the review, Derek, would you like to do our Patreon shout-outs?
As always, we want to shout out our awesome members of our Patreon community at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. A happy belated birthday to the official fact checker of the podcast, Mr. Wally Phelps.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. over on our Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, John West, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B-Res Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, Axeblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am the Rampage! Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mr. Joey Image, and of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions and keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. We love Halloween here on this show. Mm-hmm. We love it so much that we released our bonus episode early to the public. And
yes,
what did we do for our Halloween bonus episode?
We talked about killer clowns from outer space with Mr. at TV's Travis from the Wait, You Haven't Seen podcast and the Gore podcast and the Those Were the Days podcast. So go check out his shows if you haven't already. They're excellent. And then come listen to the Killer Clowns from Outer Space roundtable that we did.
Absolutely. No, it was a really fun episode, and it was great getting to have Travis on and get his insight on it. So, yeah, definitely go check that out. And we've done a ton of other bonus episodes too. And usually the Patreon subscribers get it about a month ahead of time before the general public does. And you get your own RSS feed with 0 ads.
Hmm.
So for $1 a month, you can't get entertainment like that in 2024.
Oh, and the no holds barred commentary we did last month. I mean,
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite commentary tracks we've ever done for the show.
Oh, 100%. We should I'm trying to think. I know there's Ready to Rumble as far as another wrestling movie that we could do. That one's not good. I
No.
enjoy it because that's like from my era of wrestling, but it's a terrible movie.
Yeah, I only
Maybe
remember
one
like
month we'll do it.
one or two things about that movie. I saw it in the theater, and then I was like, "Yeah, I don't never need to watch that again."
Wow,
Yeah,
that's impressive.
not really.
I mean, to me, it is. But yeah, if you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, send us your social media info, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight we're going to be talking about Scooby Doo.
I'm excited to talk about this game. So I put it in my notes. I've been in more of a spoopy mood for this Halloween season. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the past few years since I've been getting more into horror, I've been watching more of those, like your Screams, your Elm Streets, and movies like that. I don't know. This year I've been more into the lighter stuff,
Yeah.
and I wanted to try to find a game to reflect that. So I was just did a Google search, and I had no idea that this game existed.
I didn't either.
And as soon as I found it, I said, "That's what I'm going to review." Didn't read anything about it. I just saw the title and the cover art. And the game we're going to be talking about is Scooby Doo Mystery, which is there's two different versions of the game. There's one for the Sega Genesis and one for the Super Nintendo, and I'm going to be talking about the Super Nintendo one.
Oh, so this is one of those things where they would have a game of the same name and the same thing, but there would be two completely different games for each system.
Yep. That's exactly what it is, because the Genesis version is more of like your classic point and click game,
Oh, okay.
and this is more of like a platformer. It's an adventure with platforming elements.
See,
So
we
it's
need
technically
to
a
we need to
platformer.
do some research on that subject of why they did that back then, because we've had several games on the show that we've done in the past where there's completely different versions for the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. Like Beavis and Butthead, for instance. Two completely different games for the different systems.
I think that'd be a great roundtable discussion to have.
Yeah,
We invite like an extra guest or two on and talk about that. I think that'd be really fascinating,
absolutely.
because I've been curious about that myself. So the Super Nintendo version, it's an adventure game with platforming elements, and it was released for the Super Nintendo in November of 1995. First of all, who doesn't like Scooby Doo? I can remember. I think everybody as a kid was introduced to one of the numerous Scooby Doo cartoons that have been released throughout the years. And my reservations about this in the beginning were a lot like some other adaptations that either I've played or you've played. You remember back in the day, most of the adaptations, they were not good.
Exactly what we talked about last week, too, with Porky Pig's Haunted Halloween. I went in completely thinking it was going to be just shovelware crap. But it wasn't.
And then you turned out to actually quite enjoy it. And that's how I feel about this game. If you're a fan of Scooby Doo, you will love it because it near perfectly captures the spirit and the characters of the cartoon.
Hold on, we got to stop for a second. I just read something in the notes here for the game. Who here knew that Shaggy's a real name is Norval Rogers?
Well, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that. Is that like a known thing? How did I not know that?
I don't think it's a widely known thing. I mean, I remember reading about it a long time ago, but I never think of that as his name. I just call him Shaggy.
I've never heard of that in my life, and I'm like, wait, who is Norval Rogers?
That'd be a great trivia question.
Yeah, it would actually.
Oh, you could really school some people with that one.
Even Joey in the chat room said he didn't know he had a name either.
Yeah.
Huh. Norval Rogers. Who knew?
Something new learned every single day. But no, everything from the graphics, the tone of the music, even the gameplay, it captures the essence of the cartoon nearly perfectly. So the way the game works is you play as primarily Shaggy, but Scooby follows you around, and you're solving these different mysteries depending on the location that you're at. And there's only 4 levels, so the game isn't very long, but it's kind of a rinse and repeat type of thing. Where you start in each level, you have to find clues as to who the kidnapper or the burglar is, like in the show. And you have Fred, Velma, and Daphne that are on the map with you in different locations, and they each serve a different purpose. So you have to go around the mansion finding clues, and then you give them to Velma so she can decipher them. And once you find all of them, then you take them to Fred, and then Fred builds what's usually a pretty horrible trap. And then you have to find the boss of that stage, and you don't fight him, you convince him to chase you. And you have to run to the trap, and then you get the burglar or whoever gets caught, and then you do the unmasking thing like they do in the cartoon.
Dude, that's perfect. That's exactly what they do in the cartoon. That sounds like a great game mechanic.
But see, that's what more adaptations should have done back then. It was more like they were like, oh, let's try something different, but we'll just include characters from like Spider-Man or Toy Story. No, like if I play a Scooby-Doo game, I want to solve mysteries and do really goofy stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's how the show works. That's why people like it.
Yeah.
And also, your health meter is a little interesting in this game. So you have what's called a scare meter. It starts out empty, but if you get hit by an enemy, it raises your scare meter. And then once it's full, you essentially die. Like the animation's actually pretty funny. Like Shaggy starts shaking like he's scared. Scooby jumps in his arms and he's holding him, and they're both just kind of shaking like they do in the show, like they're overly scared. And then you start back at the beginning of the stage. So if your scare meter gets high, you can find Daphne, and then she'll give you Scooby snacks, and that decreases the scare meter.
Dude, you're making me want to play this game like right now.
The mechanics they're not perfect. But I mean, that's kind of any game. Like I know a lot of the reviews I was reading said that they hated the mechanics. Could they have been a little tighter? Sure. But there's not a perfect game out there.
Yeah.
They're all going to have their flaws. The funniest thing though, besides having to have the boss chase you, which I thought was like actually kind of a brilliant concept. Also, whenever you find these different items, so like you don't directly fight the enemies that are in, say, like the mansion or the swamp or wherever you are. Like, say for example, you find this bucket, you have to throw it on one of the enemies so that it's blinded and running around so that it doesn't try to chase you anymore. Mm-hmm. It's little clever things like that. Like you don't directly fight anything. You just cleverly avoid it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool kind of concept.
Well, that's the essence of Scooby. He's never going to directly fight anything. Like it
Yeah.
makes sense to like get scared and run away and make something chase you.
The thing that made me laugh the most. So there are two types of
Joey in the chat room says,
clear
"Not
son
a
of a
perfect."
person who hasn't played Days Gone.
Said, "Not a perfect game out there," says Derek. A clear sign of a person who hasn't played Days Gone. Actually, Days Gone makes a pretty good Halloween game too. So if you never played Days Gone, now's a good time to play that game.
Yeah, exactly. So there are these two types of bonus levels that you can find. And one of them, as soon as it started, I just started laughing out loud. So you play as Scooby, and he's on his back legs, and he's got a plate in each of his front paws. In the background is a refrigerator, and Shaggy is just tossing food out of the fridge, and you have to move around and catch the food with the plates, and they eventually form like a giant burger or some kind of giant sandwich.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's so good. Like it's little things like that. Even the personalities of the other characters, even though they're not around that much. One other thing too is that if you take too long to find the clues, some of the characters, like whether it could be Fred, Daphne, or Velma, will go missing. So then you have to go find them in order to resume your mission, because you have to have all of them in order to complete the game.
So what's with the and Rampage is trying to start some stuff.
Wow. Rampage is going to wake up in the morning and Joey's going to be at his front door.
Yeah, he says, "I wish Days Gone was a fun game to play and I didn't feel like I wasted my money on it. Now we wait." Days Gone's a good game. I mean, I can't fault Joey for loving it so much. That game's great.
I can't fault anybody for loving a game as much as I've praised Zelda and Sonic on these shows. Mm-hmm. I would be such a hypocrite if I did that. I will say, if there's a downside to this game, it does have kind of a slow, methodical pace to it, because you have to go around. So like the first level you're in is in a mansion. You have to go in the different rooms to find the different clues, and sometimes it can feel a little repetitive. And it does move along at kind of a slow pace. Even though the game itself isn't that long, I actually did complete it, and it took me about 2.5 hours.
So is it sort of like that Roger Rabbit type of mechanic, where you got to go into the buildings, then go into the different rooms and search everything for clues? Yeah, that kind of stuff can really bog a game down. And that's one of the big things I didn't like about the Roger Rabbit game, was just trying to find clues where you really didn't know where to look, and there's so many places that they could be. It's kind of like, you could streamline this somehow.
And that's what I was thinking too as I was playing. And I put it in my notes that if you're not a Scooby Doo fan, that would deter you from playing it.
Yeah.
Because I even found myself, kind of, I want to say getting bored, but just getting a little tired of just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. I kind of got that way a little bit with Porky Pig's Haunted Halloween, or Haunted Holiday, last week. I mean, it's a great game, but there are some spots, and this is kind of that era, of side-scrolling adventures. Like, they do tend to get a little, I don't know, drawn out and boring at some parts. And like, I understand it. They're trying to get as much as much time as they can in the game so that you stay in the game. But there are times where it's just like, man, just come on, just let me get through this.
It reminds me of those movies that are like 2.5 to almost 3 hours, and you're like, if you cut a good 45 minutes off of it, it would be a near perfect movie.
Yeah.
But then it drags and drags and drags. And that's how I felt to an extent, but it did such a good job of capturing the essence of Scooby Doo that I looked past it, but I'm also a Scooby Doo fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that to kind of counter the methodical style of gameplay. But I'd be curious to play the Genesis version because I have heard people say the Genesis version is a little bit better. But I really have no major qualms about this game because it's exactly what I was wanting and what I do want when I play an adaptation. I want to feel like I'm in the show or I'm in the movie. And I will mention the graphics are great too. Like it looks just like the cartoon. They captured that perfectly.
And it's crazy. I never even knew this game existed. I mean, I may have seen it, at the time in the stores or whatever, but I have no memory of even seeing any advertisements for this game at back then.
No, I didn't either. I've heard of a few Scooby Doo games, but I don't remember one for the Super Nintendo. I remember one for the GameCube. I think it was called like Scooby Doo Mystery Inc. or something along those lines. Scooby Doo
Yeah.
Mystery something.
There's been quite a few Scooby Doo games, but the ones that come readily to mind for me are the PS2 games that were. I think
Yeah.
there was one or two for the GameCube, too. I think, and because there's been a few for the PS2 that I've run across at Goodwills and things of that nature. I run across them all the time, but the problem is they're always scratched to hell and back. They're hard to find, in good shape, and that's some of the games I really want to pick up.
I couldn't in good conscience sell something that is that scratched up. Like I know it's not going to work.
Yeah, there's
So,
no
like,
way these are gonna work. It's like they look like somebody took them and then just brought it out to like the driveway and just went on the ground.
Yeah. I feel like there'd be some bad karma coming my way if I sold a game with a really scratched disc.
But I always get excited when I run across them because ooh, Scooby Doo, and then I grab it and of course the disc is scratched beyond repair, and it's like, well, there's another one I can't have.
Yeah. As far as the reception of the game goes, the 4 reviewers of EGM scored the Genesis game a 7.625. That's oddly specific out of 10. They particularly praised the game's strong similarity to the TV series, though 2 of them felt the game to be too short. A reviewer for Next Generation was also enthusiastic about how faithfully the game recreated the look and feel of the show and also complemented the humor and puzzle design. However, the reviewer felt that the slow-paced interface makes the game too much of a test of one's patience to be worth the rewards and scored it 2 out of 5 stars. Yeah, Next Generation overall, they gave the SNES version 3 out of 5, and Super Game Power gave it, I'm assuming this is the Genesis version, a 3.2 out of 5.
Yeah,
I've said it several. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say they talked too about they criticized the absence of the show's theme song, and that's one of the things I was looking for when I was looking for music for the game is they didn't have the theme song for Scooby Doo.
Yeah, they do in the Genesis version.
Yeah,
but that's the one thing that was missing in this. I wanted to hear that song whenever the game started, but unfortunately, I did not. But let's see. But yeah, I've said it several times throughout this review, but I had a lot of fun playing this game. It faithfully recaptured the essence and feel of Scooby Doo. Is the gameplay perfect? No. Is it too short? Yes. But if you're a Scooby fan, I think it's worth checking out.
I want to. I mean, I'm
at
very
worst,
curious.
You'll play it for like 10, 15 minutes, but you'll be like, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare to come across a good licensed game back then.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Joey wanted us to point out, too, he sent this link today to Kickstarter, and there is an electronic gaming monthly compendium that's on Kickstarter right now. They had a $35,000 They needed $35,000. They've made almost $500,000. They're at $424,905. It is going on until November 14th. And it says over its 25-year print run, Electronic Gaming Monthly captivated tens of millions of readers, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. The Compendium is an ambitious new book that honors that legacy, combining meticulously curated excerpts from the magazine with new insights and never-before-told stories to explore gaming's evolution from its earliest frontiers to today's modern landscape. It's going to be 320 pages long, and I very much want to get one of these.
Oh, me too. Nintendo Power was great, but man, EGM was like a very close second.
That was right up. That was a monthly pickup every month.
100%. I miss that magazine.
Oh, I do too.
That was a great day to get that in the mail.
I still remember getting the issue with that had Super Mario World on the cover. And it showed like the whole first level of Super Mario World, and this was like before I got my Super Nintendo, and I could not get enough of that particular. I looked at it every day like it was the most important thing in my life was that magazine.
Those were the days. But I'm gonna give this game. I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'd give it an 8 if it wasn't for the meddling kids.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the sweet spot right there. Same thing with Porky Pig, right at that 7.5 area. It's a great game. Not it's not up there like a 10, but it's playable and fun.
Well, it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a Scooby fan.
Yeah,
I think you'll get a kick out of it.
And as usual, we asked people to send us their Nintendo grievances last week, and I would read them on the show. Well, our good friend Mark Simmons goes by Mushmouth TB's in the chat room right now. He sent us this letter here. It says, Nintendo Pick a Lane by Mark H. Simmons II. Tell me if this
Esquire.
Esquire. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're sitting there thinking about what game you'd like to play when you get off work, and you recall a favorite game from your childhood. It was a popular game. It sold well. You fondly recall you and your friends taking turns on your Super Nintendo and having a blast. You get off work, you check the Nintendo eShop, and to your surprise, this well-known title that everybody loves is simply not there. So you think to yourself, where else can I look? If Nintendo isn't selling, perhaps you can find it in a playable state online. It maybe isn't the most legal thing in the world by no means. Is it an immoral thing to do? So you play the game however you can find it. Then Nintendo bans that source, gets the website shut down, and still refuses to sell you the game. Now, I would never do this, but let's say you turn your tired eyes to an emulator and say, this will do. At least Nintendo will sell me the game. You want to buy the game. You're not the only one by far. But you begin to notice that people streaming the very game you're emulating are being sued. You become confused. Does Nintendo simply not like emulation? Well, that can't be because they're literally using an emulator in their own museum. To quote a certain article, it's rules for thee and not for me. You notice it's not just emulation, but even modded games that were purchased properly and then altered by the purchasing consumer. This is a transformative work, not a copyright infringement. What could be wrong with that? You'll have to ask the people Nintendo have sued into oblivion over that very thing. I have no answer for you. Here we come to our question. If Nintendo will sue you for online play, emulation, modding, and everything else, then why will they not simply make purchasable the game you wish to buy? One answer could be the agonizingly slow drip feed the purchasers of the eShop upgrades get in the way of games. By keeping a large backlog of wanted games, Nintendo can keep your hopes up through each month of payment and still never sell you the game you want. This is peak anti-consumerism from a company that very clearly seems to want to make money. If they aren't interested in putting certain older games on the Switch, why not partner with Steam or other online stores to make these games available? When the NES came out, it was a revolution, and it quite literally saved the American video market from the impending demise. This is a company we grew up enjoying, playing, trusting. But now, only a few scant decades later, they seem less and less trustworthy and by far less enjoyable. As such, I, for one, have stopped playing. I don't buy Nintendo games anymore. That is my choice, in response to their endlessly tiresome anti-player policies. They seem to hate streamers, modders, and even the mild-mannered video game enjoyer minding their own business. But when they emulate in their museum while suing into poverty those who would emulate, it puts, in my mind, one strong statement toward Nintendo. One they should heed before people have caught on to just how bad things are getting, lest they lose their player base entirely. Pick a lane, preferably the lane that favors your consumers.
He should have started this with, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Yeah.
It sounded just like a closing argument. I loved it.
Yeah,
that was good.
I agree with Joey. He says they want to make money, but they seem to want to lose money. Like, I don't understand. I think I guess it's the older people that are still in charge over at Nintendo of Japan, where they just kind of don't get the internet, and that, you know, people playing their games online doesn't do anything but help them sell more product. Like, there's been many times where I've gone on Twitch or YouTube gaming and I've seen people play a game. I'll go buy that game because I want to play it. But you know what I don't see? Hardly ever people playing Nintendo games on Twitch or YouTube or anything. But it makes me scared
you're
now
right.
because, you know, I've played Nintendo games on YouTube and Twitch in the past where I've emulated them because it's just too much work to try to play the original hardware to be able to stream it. So it's just easier to emulate it. It's the same game. Who cares? But if I get caught by Nintendo, they'll sue me into the ground. So what's even the point of doing it anymore? And why can't I just buy copies? Like you said, why can't I just go on Steam or even the Nintendo eShop and buy a copy of, you know, the original Ninja Gaiden if I want to, or any of the, you know, 900 NES games that were out there? Why can't I just buy a copy of it? Why is there not a permanent store on the Nintendo Online that I can just go get it? Why? Makes no sense.
It's above our pay grade to be able to answer those kind of questions.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll never know unless we get somebody on the show that works at Nintendo that can explain these things to us. So if any, you know, we got a huge listener base. So if anybody here works for Nintendo or knows someone that works for Nintendo, this is an open call to anyone that works at Nintendo that can come on the show and explain to us what the thought process is over at Nintendo.
That would be a beautiful day.
Yeah, it would.
If that happened.
But we're coming up to the end of the episode, and Derek is going to be taking a little time off from the show because if anything here at the show, we support, you know, like if you need to take some time off or, you know, you got family stuff, you know, we're always, you know, that's what this show is about. We're going to keep going because I'm going to have some guests coming on over the next couple of weeks. But Derek needed to take a little time off, and I am completely okay with that because he's allowed me to take some time off before when I needed it. So Derek, you're going to take a little vacation for a few weeks.
Yeah, and I'll still be around online. It's just busy time of year with a lot of stuff going on, so the podcasts unfortunately have to take a back seat for now, but I'll be back on the show probably in about a month, around the end of November, and then you know, that'll be the push to Christmas, and before the end of the year we'll hit our 400th episode. So
yeah,
I can't miss that.
Yeah, you got to be here for the 400th episode.
Oh yeah. I'll be back before that. But yeah, appreciate, you know, the time off. Like I said, I'll still be around. I'll still be in the Discord if anybody wants to chat. So I'm not going away. Just
yeah,
taking some time off from the show.
But yeah, I've already got some some of the normal guest hosts lined up for the next couple of weeks. But we got a few more, and Mushmouth threw his hat in the ring, so we'll see. We might have you on the show here, Mushmouth, but you got to bring a game to review. So let me know what game you would like to review. You might end up on the show here in a couple of weeks, so we'll see, good sir.
Yeah.
But Derek, anything going on with the Real Wisdom podcast? I seem to think there was a round table of sorts
that just so happens to be released on Halloween. So tune in this Thursday to hear the two of us, along with Wally Phelps and Joey Image, talk about my favorite horror movie of all time, the original Scream.
Yes.
It was really, really fun chat, even better banter. So you'll get a kick out of it. So it'll be out this Thursday on YouTube, all major podcasting platforms. Just head over to linktree.com/REEL Wisdom Pod and get your Halloween started right with the four of us.
Oh, and if you watch the video, something paranormal happens at the end of the episode. It was awesome.
Yeah. So check out the YouTube version for that.
Yeah, but we also have the Open Micers podcast with me and Mr. Jacob Craig. Coming up this week, we got a hostful episode we're going to do this week, and I think we're going to talk about some stuff that happened the last few days in the comedy community, and we got a few things to say about it.
I have a feeling I know what that is.
Yeah, you do.
It's made some noise.
Yes,
I'll say
it
that.
has. And so we're going to talk about that this week. So go check us out, at Open Micers on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, all those places. OpenMicers.com is our website. And Derek, hate to see you go. I know it's going to be a couple of weeks before I get to talk to you again. Well, I mean, we'll talk in real life. But,
yeah.
We won't have the show, but we'll have some co-hosts here. Don't worry, everybody. We're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
But Derek, please take care of yourself, my friend. You know, you gotta take that time off sometimes. Just, get things worked out and let things smooth out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. I hope you'll have a wonderful Halloween. And Derek, is that everything for this week?
To answer Joey's question, the podcast and YouTube version of our roundtable will be out on Thursday.
Yes.
So you can check it out then.
Halloween. It's Halloween, everybody. So it's going to be Halloween. You get the Scream Roundtable episode for the Real Wisdom podcast. It's going to be an awesome Halloween, you guys. So it's a great week. And thank you for hanging out with us. And if you want to... Oh, that's really loud. If you want to email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Nerdcaveretro.com is our link tree that includes all of our socials, ways to give us money, and of course the Patreon and the merch shop where we have all of our t-shirts, hats, magnets, bags, mugs, whatever your nerdy little heart desires. I understand if you can't be a patron, you can't buy anything to support us. I understand times are tough right now, but if you can't, leave us a review and or a 5-star rating on every podcasting platform that you can, and send it to us, and we'll read it on the show, and I might send you a sticker or something cool in the mail if you do. So, Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
And that's an episode.
Yeah.
Wow, I had a full chat room tonight. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, you're welcome, Mushmouth. I was hoping we'd get a few more from people yelling about Nintendo, but that one was good and long. So you got a nice little chunk of the show there for
That's
it.
what she said.
Yeah. Nintendo needs to hear these things, man.
Yeah.
We need to make a coalition where we just go online and start bitching at Nintendo online till they hear us.
Oh, Joey said he meant the comedy thing that you were talking about, as far as if it was on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Just, it actually happened near you, Joey, at the Madison Square Gardens over the weekend with with Mr. Kill Tony himself. So go. I'm sure you can find a clip somewhere on YouTube.
Oh, there has to be.
Oh, I'm sure. Even though they're trying to, the Trump campaign's trying to scrub it from existence, but it's still there. It happened. People saw it.
Look, everybody's got to learn once you post something, like somebody's already grabbed it.
Of course.
So it's out there forever.
Yeah. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. We're going to go ahead and get out of here, and we'll see you all next week.